You can be cross-legged, you can be sitting on your ankles, just however's comfortable. And start just by checking in with your hips, your shoulders, and the crown of your head. So you can maybe move the flesh of your sit bones back a little so you really feel your sit bones grounding down, and maybe a really slight tuck in your tailbone so that you feel more length in your lower back. And then feel your shoulders, that they're stacked right over the hips. Your heart is proud, but you're not protruding the heart too much forward, so you're sacrificing the back, and you're not hunching forward. You're just at very neutral shoulders. And then the crown of your head is actively reaching up toward the ceiling. And your chin is slightly tucked toward the heart, so the back of your neck stays long. And you take a nice big breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, just sigh it out through the mouth. You can let your eyes close at any point if they're not closed already. And just start to settle into your body. And as you take your next breath in through the nose, really exaggerate this breath and slow it down. So you're taking a long, deep, and slow breath in, and take a few more sips of air, even once you think you're full. And then pause for a moment at the top when you are really full, and just notice what that feels like. And then without straining, as you need to, slowly decompress, slowly let the air go like a balloon. Just emptying yourself slowly but surely, and pushing a little bit more air out of you, even once you think you're empty. Truly emptying yourself, and then pausing in that stillness, in that emptiness. And allowing your next breath to come naturally. And you can breathe like that a few more times if that feels good for you. Just exaggerating the 4 parts of your breath. So exaggerating the inhale, the pause at the top, the exhale, and the pause at the bottom. And as you're doing this, or if you'd rather release to your natural breath at any point, you're welcome to do so. You can also soften all the muscles across your forehead. Allow your jaw to just hang into place. Allow your shoulders to fall away from the ears. And then just start to bring some awareness to the palms of your hands. And wherever the palms are resting, just starting to feel the pulsing of the palms of your hands. Just reminding yourself of your anatomy, of the connection between your heart and your hands, and the blood that is running through your entire body. And bringing some attention to the forehead, and maybe feeling the pulsing in the space between the eyebrows. And then feeling both the forehead and the hands pulsing along with your heart center. So just starting this practice by reminding yourself that you are here, that you are alive, your body is functioning perfectly. And just allowing whatever you need from this practice to come to you. Maybe setting an intention, or just allowing or resting in the acceptance of no intention, if that's where you're at today. So as you take your next breath in through the nose, you can gently start to sweep the arms slowly up to the sides, and really like you're gathering all the air around you and then reaching up toward the ceiling. Maybe interlacing the hands at the top and just reaching the fingertips as high as you can, and noticing what the rest of your body does as you do this. Let's take this big morning stretch, and noticing if your back starts to arch, and noticing if that places more pressure on your lower back, and then just gently knitting the bottom of your rib cage in so that you really concentrate all that length to your spine. Perfect. And then as you inhale, bring your shoulders up to your ears, like you're gonna yawn, maybe even yawning. And then as you exhale, let the shoulders come down to your back slightly. Let's do that twice more. So inhale, bring the shoulders up. Exhale, let them relax. One more time, bring the shoulders up. Exhale, let them relax. And now as you inhale, you can release the hands and just reach them up so that the palms are facing each other. And then as you exhale, drop your right arm down by your side and start to lift up and over, but letting the intention be up first. So you're keeping that length in both side bodies, and you're more kind of leaning and then bending. So you feel the space from the left hip crease through the left side body, through the armpit, all the way through the fingertips. And really intentionally grounding down in your left sit bone and just imagining the space between the left sit bone and the left fingertips getting longer. And then you can really feel the difference if you start to crunch into your right side body, so you make more of like a rainbow shape as you exhale, and then as you inhale, straightening out the right side body and feeling that length through the whole spine. So just kind of playing around with sacrificing this length in the right side of the body to including that in the stretch. And then start to get into the back body slightly. You can bring your left hand behind your head and start to look up toward your elbow as you inhale. And as you exhale, it's crunched down. So you bring your left elbow to the right knee. And you can do this about 5 times with your breath. Moving fluidly at the pace that your body is breathing at already. Maybe activating your Ujjayi breath with that slight restriction in the back of the throat. And then the next time that you are lifted, you can just stay there. Reach your left arm up alongside the left ear one final time. And then as you do this, just let your right ear fall toward your right shoulder. So you fully release the head. And then reach the left fingertips down and away, but in line with the shoulder, so that you feel this nice stretch from the left fingertips through the left ear. And just fully relaxing the head, fully softening the arm, maybe even starting to reach the arm down a little bit more if that feels okay. Just kind of finding that sweet spot for you. You can play around. One more big exhale, letting it go. And then as you inhale, you can use your left fingertips to pull you back up, maybe pressing your head back up with the right hand and just coming to center and observing for a moment. You can change the crossing of your legs, and we'll go through all that on the other side. So as you're ready, you can inhale, reach the arms up. And as you exhale, the left arm comes down and you start to lean and reach over toward kind of where like the wall meets the ceiling, like the upper corner of your room. So you're keeping that length. And really just feeling or exaggerating the rootedness of your right sit bone and feeling the space from the right hip through the bottom of the right rib cage getting long as well, through the armpit and the arm. And then you can play around with the shape of your spine. So like right now our spine is straight and we're leaning, and then you can start to curl and kind of make a rainbow shape. Notice what that feels like, and straighten out again. And really just letting yourself play throughout this whole practice. You can close your eyes at any point and really just feel into the shape of your body, but just using this opportunity to just be curious about what does feel best in your body, because things are going to feel different for all of us. So letting this be your time. And then you can start to bring your right hand behind your head and look up at your elbow as you inhale. And exhale, we can crunch down. And just doing this about 5 times, just like you did on the other side, moving with your breath. And practicing letting your breath guide the movement rather than the movement guiding the breath. So when your body inhales, then your body will naturally move up and open. And as your body exhales, you can crunch down. And then the next time that you are lifted, you can go ahead and stay. You can re-extend your right arm and then fully release your head so that your left ear comes towards the left shoulder, and then just reach the right fingertips away. So you feel the space between the right fingertips and the right ear, and same thing as the other side, kind of playing around. It can be level with your shoulder. Notice how that feels, maybe reaching slightly lower. But just each time that you exhale, fully release your head. There's no pulling on the neck, it's just a release. And then the reaching is coming from the fingertips. One more big exhale. And then you can use your right fingertips to reach and pull you back up to center. Maybe use your left fingertips to press your head back to center. And just pause. Notice how this feels. Notice how your neck is feeling, your back. And we'll start to warm up even more. So you can make your way to a tabletop. You can place your hands in front of the shins, roll over the ankles, and come into your table. And just landing with your shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. And when you look back between the thighs, the toes are hidden behind the thighs. And you can check in that your wrist creases are parallel to the front edge of your mat, whichever way your fingers have to be for that to happen is perfect. And spread your fingers so wide so that you feel the skin in between the fingers starting to stretch, really just exaggerating your foundation. Pressing down in the base of your pointer finger, the base of your thumb, the base of your pinky, and the fingertips. So you have this kind of suction-like grip against the floor. And just starting to move through your cat-cows at your own pace. So inhaling and letting your heart kind of come forward and up, and your sit bones coming up, and then exhaling to your cat pose, tucking the chin toward the sternum, pulling the navel toward the spine and the tailbone down, and moving with your breath, letting your body move how it wants to move. You can feel free to add in any other fluid movements here if you'd like. Maybe rocking the hips side to side, getting into the outer thighs. Maybe taking some circles with the shoulders or spine, but just permission to close the eyes and fully feel into your body and how it would like to move, and letting it move that way. Just tuning into your spine and starting to feel the fluid moving around the spine, really just warming everything up for the postures that we'll be taking today. And just trusting your body's natural intelligence, trusting the way your body wants to move is what's going to make you feel good. Take about 3 more breaths, moving how you'd like. Hey, babies. And then gradually you can make your way back to your neutral tabletop. And just leaving your hips exactly where they are. Walk your hands forward and melt your heart down into your puppy pose. Bringing the forehead or the chin to the mat or a block. Perfect. Taking big exhales and staying rooted and intentional in your forearms and your hands as you do this. So you're not dumping too much pressure into the shoulders. And this is more of an active stretch. So the front of your heart is actively softening and actively surrendering to the floor. And the back of your heart is actively drawing the muscles slightly closer together and down the back. And the energy is reaching up through the space in between your sit bones. So you're feeling your spine getting this really nice stretch. And then from here, you can just look underneath your left armpit or your left arm, turning onto the right ear, and just thread the needle from here. So place some more pressure in the left hand and then bring your right arm underneath so that your gaze is off to the left and your right shoulder, right ear are resting on the ground. And you'll notice how your left hip wants to come forward, and just maybe even taking your hand there to guide it, and just pulling the left hip back so that you feel the space from the left hip through the side body, and maybe even reaching the left fingertips forward even more. And just feeling the left fingertips and left hip pulling in opposite directions. Also option to press into the ground with the left hand and maybe turning your gaze and your heart slightly more toward the ceiling. And taking 3 more breaths. And then you can reach the left fingertips forward if they're not there already. And then just place more pressure into the left hand. Turn your chin back to the floor. Pause for a moment in that nice stretch. And then you can unwind and reach forward. Back to puppy pose. And we'll move through that on the other side. So when you're ready, you can turn your gaze under the right arm and thread the needle the other way. And the same thing on this side. So you'll notice that your right hip crease now wants to come forward. So there's intentionally pulling that back so that your hips are even. And you can keep the right arm extended forward and really exaggerate the length between the right fingertips and the right hip. Or you could bring the hand more in front of the face and press into the ground and turn your gaze and heart toward the ceiling. Whatever works for you, whatever feels best. Just taking deep and intentional exhales through the nose. And letting one more thing go on each exhale. Either one more area of tension or one more thought. Or 2 more exhales. And then you can slowly start to re-extend your right arm if it's not there already. And then just turn your face back toward the ground and you can pause for a moment with that bicep stretch and then unwinding back to your puppy pose. Take one more big exhale here. And then from here, just allow your hips to become super heavy and pull yourself back into a child's pose. You can stack the hands and rest your forehead there. You can keep them, the arms extended forward. But wherever you are, just fully surrender yourself into this position. You can reconnect with the pulsing of your forehead, reconnect with the pulsing of the hands, the heart. Reconnect with your intention. And then as you are ready, you can start to activate your child's pose, reaching the arms forward, pressing the hands into the ground. And then feel like you're pulling the ground toward you as you rise up to a table briefly. Tuck your toes under, lift the hips back and up to your downward facing dog. Letting out big exhales through the mouth here, just maybe even taking a lion's breath, sticking out the tongue, looking up toward the forehead, and bending the knees generously to really just concentrate the stretch on your spine to start. And lifting the energy up through the space in between the sit bones, just like in our puppy pose. Being intentional with the hands, just like in our tabletop. And feel a wrapping sensation of your shoulder blades. So it almost feels like your armpits could face each other. And your shoulders are in a neutral position. Your heart is reaching toward your upper thighs. You can start to stretch out the feet, maybe bringing the heels of your feet up over the balls of your feet. And really just feeling into what is wanting to be stretched out right now. You can find some movement, taking turns, straightening each leg. You can find stillness. But relaxing your forehead, relaxing your jaw. And pulling your lower belly in and up toward the spine. So 2 more exhales. And then when you're ready, you can bend the knees, look up toward the top of your mat, and just start to walk your feet up to meet your hands, one step at a time. Landing in a halfway lift as you inhale, so tabletop spine. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees really generously, maybe even hugging the legs. Just allowing your belly to rest on the thighs, allowing your head to shake yes or no. Good fully ragdoll, grabbing opposite elbows. Breathing into the spine and just feeling the space from your tailbone through the crown of your head. Feeling space growing in between the vertebrae simply by surrendering in the upper body, simply by surrendering beneath gravity. Finding a little bit of stillness, noticing the feet, letting them be intentional, letting the toes spread and the weight be slightly more on the balls of the feet, but even on the insides and outsides. Take 3 more exhales and just challenge yourself to see how much you can let go, how much you can accept this position, no matter what it feels like to you right now. Just accepting this is temporary. 1 more exhale. And then on your next inhale, you can really slowly, maybe just walking the hands up the legs, just rolling your body up to stand. 1 vertebrae at a time, head and shoulders last to roll up, palms facing out. Mountain pose. Just letting everything settle, letting your vision return if it's left briefly. Reconnecting with your posture, just like at the beginning of practice, where your shoulders are in relationship to the hips and the head and the heels now. And feeling yourself grounding down intentionally through the soles of the feet and lifting up intentionally through the crown of the head. Just feeling how you are a mountain, how you are connected to the earth and lifting up toward the sky. And on your next inhale, you can reach the arms out and up, get super long. And then as you exhale, cactus the arms. So you bring the palms to face out and the elbows closer together. Inhale to reach. Exhale once more to cactus, open up the heart. Inhale to reach. And now exhale, we'll hinge at the hips and swan dive all the way down. Forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the heart forward, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands down, step back to your plank position, and pause for a moment in plank and just feel the strength of your body. Let your heels reach back, let the crown of your head and your heart reach forward. Perfect. And pull the navel up to the spine. Breathe, feel the strength of your body. And then lowering your knees down if you need to, untucking the toes and just slowly bending the elbows alongside the ribs, bringing yourself in one piece down to your mat. Root your big toes down, root your pubic bone down, and as you inhale, lift your heart forward and up. The chin stays tucked, the neck stays long. Exhale, release. I'll add in a little shoulder stretch here, so bring your fingertips tented, so just the fingertips on the ground, and even with your shoulders, but wider than your mat. And then as you inhale, lift your heart up. And as you exhale, dip your right shoulder down toward the center and look over your left. As you inhale, come back up and exhale the other side. So dip your left shoulder down, look over the right. And you do that twice more on each side. And again, just letting your breath guide the movement as best as you can. And then when you are finished, you can just come back to center. You can place your hands underneath the shoulders. Zip the elbows up tight to the ribs, elbows point up toward the ceiling. Tuck your toes under, and you can bring your gaze right to the floor. And maybe you pop up right into a plank. Maybe you come up through a tabletop, but we'll rise up and come into a down dog. Lift the hip bones, or lift the sit bones back and up to your down dog. Let out big exhales here. And again, maybe a lion's breath. Just letting it go. And as you're ready, you can bend the knees, look up and step up. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, let it go, fold. Inhale, root to rise and reach all the way out and up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Maybe shake it out, just shake out the hands, shake out the legs. Just get everything, doesn't need to be there, out of there. I almost like to move through a few flows, maybe 2 flows. So when you're ready, you can inhale, lift the arms up, get super long, maybe a slight back bend. And exhale, hinge at your hips and swan dive all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the spine forward. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step back, plank. Move through your vinyasa, so you can do just what we did before, lowering all the way down to your baby cobra. You can lower it halfway, chaturanga dandasana, into an up dog if that's in your practice. And exhaling to your down dog. And the flows, as always, are optional. They can just add a little bit of heat to your practice if you want that. And if you want to be more restorative today, you can skip the flows at any point. On your next inhale, you can raise your right leg back and up. And keeping the hips square to start to really concentrate on your hamstring, on your left hamstring. And you can start to point and flex your right foot. And just notice the difference there. Let your leg be lifting up through the core, the strength in your core. And then pointing your right toes, you can exhale or inhale here and then exhale to stack your hips and bend the knees. So you're opening up your hips now to the right. Maybe taking some circles with the knee or just finding stillness for 2 more breaths, feeling the strength in your arms. And then next inhale, you can go ahead and level out the hips, extend the leg, and then exhale, bend the knee in toward the chest, shift your shoulders over wrists and place the foot toward the top of your mat, maybe using your right hand to help it there. And just pause for a moment in this lunge position. You can really just adjust your feet and let your left heel reach back, and then fully release your head. So your head is just kind of dangling, and you'll feel that increases the stretch on your left hip flexor. And then from here, be intentional in your left hand and your left shoulder. And then as you inhale, you can rise your right arm out and up, so you're in this twisted lunge. And just make sure you're not dumping too much weight into your left shoulder and you're lifting up and out. Awesome. Being intentional on the base of your right big toe. Perfect. And exhale, you can release. You can let your back knee drop down, untuck the toes, and then just lift your sit bones back and up and extend your right leg. You can play around with your right foot here, so you can try keeping the sole of the foot on the ground and feel like a nicer stretch on the front of the leg. You can point the toes up toward the ceiling and feel a deeper stretch on the back of the leg. You can kind of go between the two, maybe inhaling to point and exhaling to flex. Or stay where it feels good, but just notice what the rest of your body is doing as you do this. You can start to be intentional with your heart reaching toward your shin. Yeah. So you're a little bit straighter in the torso and hinging more at the hips rather than a curling, just to keep it a little bit more active and just feeling that difference. Awesome. So then you can go ahead and bring the foot back down to the ground. You can rebend your front leg and then bring both your hands inside of the right foot. And just heel toe that once or twice out. So you're in this lizard lunge. And you can stay with your back leg on the ground like this. If you want to be in a more active lizard, you can tuck the back toes and lift the back knee and try that out. Just whatever feels best. You can stay on the hands and your hips sinking down and your heart lifting up. You can be on the forearms. You can be on the forearms even with the back leg lifted. There's a lot of options for your lizard. So whatever feels best for you today. But again, being kind of intentional in the mound of your big toe on the right foot. And that can really help for the stabilizing. Or if you want to release even fuller into more of a twist, you can actually roll to the outside edge of your right foot, bring your hand to the inside of the thigh and look over your right shoulder. So many, many options. Just listening to what your body wants to do for the next 3 or 4 breaths. Focusing on the exhales. The inhales are bringing energy into your body, some acceptance, and the exhales are releasing any tension. Awesome. So you can start to come back onto the hands if you were on the forearms. You can tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee up, and just step your right foot back to a plank with as much control as you can. A little core work, nice. And then you can move through your vinyasa if you'd like. We'll meet in our down dog. Maybe fluttering the lips, maybe sighing it out. We will move through that same little sequence on the other side when you're ready. You can inhale your left leg back and up, and maybe just keeping the hips square to start so that you really feel the stretch concentrated on the right hamstring, pointing and flexing that foot if you'd like. You can open up your hips at any point. God, I'm teaching. You can open up your hips and maybe take circles with your knee if you'd like. Dad, I can't talk. Okay. Okay. And just feeling into the hip on this side. One more big exhale. And then when you're ready, you can level out the hips once again. Extend the leg long as you inhale and exhale. Knee comes into chest, shoulders come over wrists. Left foot comes to the top of the mat. So just adjusting yourself into this lunge on this side. So reaching back with your heel and then fully relax your head and just notice how that increases the stretch on your right hip flexor in front of the right thigh. Letting out big, big exhales. And then you can place more pressure in the right hand, and we'll inhale the left arm out to the side and up into our lunge twist. And just making sure you're lifting up and out of the right shoulder so you're not dumping too much weight there. You're actively reaching up. And the heart is actively trying to come closer to the ceiling. And again, root down in the big toe mound of your left foot. And still reaching back through the right heel. Reaching forward with the crown of the head. A lot going on. Great. And then you can come back to center. Release your back knee down, untuck the toes, and then slowly lift your sit bones back and up, straighten out your left leg. So we'll do that hamstring stretch here. So you can play around with the foot on the ground, flexing the foot, and just really doing what you did on the other side or doing what feels best on this side. And just as we've been doing throughout the whole practice, just experimenting with your body and what your body is asking for. And then trying to bring your heart slightly more toward the shin and feeling how that allows you to hinge a bit deeper at the hips. Just breathing into whatever areas are the loudest, whatever areas are asking for the most attention, bringing your attention there, not fighting that. One more exhale. Right, and then you can bring the sole of the left foot back to the ground, re-bend that front leg, then bring both hands inside of the left foot. You can heel toe that out once or twice into your lizard. So whatever you did on the other side, whatever feels best, you can lift your back leg for a moment and feel more active lizard. You can be on the forearms in that active lizard or on the hands. You could be a lot more restorative about it just by fully surrendering in the hips, letting the hips be heavy, sinking forward and down. And adding it in a twist if you did that on the other side. Taking about 3 more exhales wherever you are. Okay, and then slowly starting to come back onto the hands if you're on the forearms, tucking the back toes under, lifting the back leg up, and with control, stepping back to your plank, that little extra core work, and then moving through your vinyasa, meeting in a downward facing dog. And just letting it all go. Relaxing the face completely. Letting this be a resting pose, even if it's just for a second. And then we'll slowly start to walk the hands back toward your feet this time. You can move from your shoulders and land in your forward fold, bending your knees very generously, letting everything dangle. And then as you're ready, you can rise up to stand, reaching the arms out and up at the top, bringing the palms to heart center. And just pause. You can feel the pulsing of your palms into each other. Feel the pulsing of your heart into the thumbs and the thumbs back into the heart. Just reminding yourself that you are here, you are alive. And as you're ready, you can rise your hands up to the ceiling. And exhale, hinge at your hips. Fold, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen the heart forward. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, we'll rise up to stand once more. Exhale, hands to heart center. Awesome. So we'll do a few more standing poses before we start to wind down. So when you're ready, you can just step your left foot forward so that you're in a wide leg forward fold stance, facing whatever way you want. And your feet are parallel to each other. They're wider than hips width distance. You can bring your hands to your hips. As you inhale, you can imagine a string on your heart. It's just pulling your heart up toward the ceiling slightly. And then as you exhale, you can even use your hands to help you hinge and just kind of tipping yourself forward so that you perfect. And you feel yourself hinging, coming down, and then releasing. Once you need to curl the spine, curling the spine, releasing the hands if you want. And you can keep a micro bend in both legs so that you're not hyperextending them. And Same thing as in our regular forward fold, just lifting the energy up through the space between the sit bones, letting your sit bones be the highest point in the body, exaggerating that. Noticing where the weight's located on the feet. Maybe rocking slightly. You could grab opposite elbows and kind of take turns bending each leg. Kind of swinging back and forth in this like figure 8 motion, if that feels good. If you are moving in this way, you can really feel the movement coming from your core. So notice the hips and the bottom of the rib cage, and then the space in between that. And kind of let that be like where the fluidness is coming from. And we can add in some twists while we're here. So you can bring your right hand over to the outside of your left ankle, and then inhale your left arm up to the ceiling. And you'll notice how your left hip is going to want to come up, and you can let it come up for a moment just to feel what that's like. And then start to bring your left hip toward the ground more, so that your sacrum is parallel to the ceiling. And just notice that shift in the hips. Awesome. And then you can make your way to the other side when you're ready. Left hand coming outside the right ankle, reaching up. And you can let your right hip kind of come up higher than the left to start. And then maybe placing your hand on your sacrum and just leveling that out and just feeling the right hip coming down, left hip coming slightly up so that the sacrum's parallel to the ceiling, and just noticing how that shifts the stretch. Awesome. You can release when you're ready. Pause for a moment in the center. Maybe you walk your hands through the legs so that your palms are facing down. It can feel nice. 2 more exhales. And then we'll really slowly start to come out of this. So you have some options. You can walk your hands up your legs and roll up. You can come up to a halfway lift and then come up with a flat spine. Whatever works. Just pausing when you make it to the top, maybe placing a hand on the belly, a hand on the heart, and just letting everything settle. And when you're ready, you can bring your toes to face the corners of your mat. Your heels are facing in, and we'll come into our goddess squat. So your hands can come to heart center. And as you exhale, the bend at the knees and the hips will just come straight down, and doing your best to keep your spine perfectly normal and straight here. And you can imagine that there's strength on the outsides of the knees, kind of pulling them back, opening up the hips. The feet are really intentional and supportive here. The knees are over the ankles, and your lower belly and your pelvic floor are all active here. So feel like that string from the crown of your head through the tailbone. Perfect. And if you want to add more of a shoulder stretch here that we usually do, you can bring your hands to the insides of the thighs with the fingers pointing down, and exhale, right shoulder down, look over left. Inhale the center and exhale the other side. You can get some really good cracks out here sometimes. You can do that a few times if you'd like. Whenever you're feeling ready, and come back to center and just slowly straighten out the legs. You can turn the feet parallel to each other once more, and we'll do one final version of a forward fold. So you can bring your hands behind your back, interlace them behind your back. And as you inhale, pull your fist toward the ground, open your heart up toward the sky. And as you exhale, hinge at the hips and let the hands just kind of drag you forward. Adding this nice shoulder stretch to this pose. If it doesn't feel good at any point, you can feel free to release. If it feels good, just eating it up. And you can start to switch the interlacing of the hands so that the funny thumb feels like it's on top. And just take 2 more breaths in the fold version of this. Just you can, as you inhale, let your fists reach up toward the ceiling, and as you exhale, let them release toward the floor. And then coming out of this, you can imagine that someone is pulling your fists up toward the ceiling and then back, and letting that action bring you up, opening up the heart one more time. And exhale, release. Settle, and we'll slowly make our way to the ground. So we'll transition through our yogi squat or malasana. So you can bring your feet a little closer together so they're just slightly wider than the hips and the toes are facing out. Hands can come to heart center, hinge at the hips, bend at the knees, elbows come inside the knees, and then the hips sink down as the heart reaches up. Perfect. So then your wrists are coming in line with the elbows, the heart's lifting toward the thumbs. Breathing here, feeling the hips surrender and open. And then you can start to reach your fingertips forward, and slowly as you can, let your hips come to the ground, and then maybe come into a brief boat pose if you want some core. And the shins are parallel to the ground, or you can fully straighten if you'd like. Just take 3 more breaths here. Feel your heart coming toward your thighs. Yes. One more exhale. And then slowly lower down. And give yourself a hug. Maybe hug the legs behind the knees or in front of the shins. Just curl. Just feel your spine getting, or the back body getting nice and long. Feel the space from your tailbone through the spine, through the crown of the head. Breathing into the back body. Okay. And you can slowly start to unwind and open up. And you can turn to face the front of your mat. We'll do a brief butterfly pose before we come to it down to our backs. So the soles of your feet can find each other. You can kind of open them like a book or let them be pressed into each other, whatever works for your anatomy. And just fully surrender whenever you're ready. You can let this be very restorative. You can let your head fully release and your spine curl. And if you bring the palms of your hands to touch, maybe even in between the feet or on top of the feet, this pose is really powerful because it's the ends of our bodies we're kind of like closing the circuit. So the soles of our feet and the palms of our hands are where a lot of like the nerve endings are, and a lot of energy leaves our body and enters our body through the soles of our feet and the palms of our hands. So this pose, we're closing that and we're letting the energy just go right into the foot, right into the other foot, right into the other hand. So maybe feeling that happening or just pondering that. And bringing attention to your hips and just noticing if there's anything that's still resisting. And just by noticing, those areas are allowed to soften just a little bit more. And take 3 more exhales here. And really slowly and start to come out of this, walking the hands back toward your seat. And to counter, you can bring the hands back behind you, can reach the legs forward and just lift your heart forward and take a little back bend. Yeah. Great. And then you can start to curl at your spine and maybe reach your fingertips forward and slowly lower yourself down to your back. When you arrive You can bend the legs and bring the soles of the feet as wide as your mat. And as you do that, tuck your tailbone down so that your lower back is flat against the mat. And then maybe windshield wiper a few times. Massaging out your glutes. Releasing your lower back. You could bring your knees in toward your chest and do the same sort of thing, rocking side to side, massaging your spine. Just letting your body settle into being on the ground. And you can always imagine that your body is full of sand or just the water that your body is full of, and just letting all of that naturally settle toward the back body. So fully surrendering the weight of your body to the earth beneath you. If you'd like, you can reach your feet up toward the ceiling and shake them out for a moment, and then just let them hang out so that your legs can rest in the hip sockets. If you'd like, you can let your arms do the same thing. And just allow the four corners of your torso to be pinned against the mat just by the weight of your arms and gravity, of your limbs and gravity. And then just noticing the soles of the feet and the palms of the hands. And now just allowing any energy that no longer serves you to leave your body through these areas. And trusting that everything that was beneficial to you during this practice is already staying within you, settling within your body. Your organs are settling into place. And if you'd like to, you can come into your happy baby from here, reaching for the outside edges of the feet or the inner thighs, whatever is available. And maybe keeping the legs bent or taking turns straightening out each leg. Maybe straightening both. And then whenever you are ready, you can bring the soles of your feet to find each other and then slowly walk the hands up the legs and lower them down to the mat into your reclined butterfly pose. And you can stay here as long as you'd like if it feels really good. And at any point, you can straighten your legs and come into your final Shavasana. Or if there's any final poses that you feel like you need to do before you feel complete, then go ahead and do those. And just trusting that you have done everything that was asked of you simply by showing up. You can trust that this practice has worked and you have received all you were meant to receive from it. All the healing benefits of the poses we practice and the breathing that we've done is staying within you. It is soaking into your skin. It's soaking into your muscles, your bones, your cells. So just allowing this process to occur, allowing your body to receive this healing. Fully surrendering the muscles across the face, across the arms, the torso, the legs. Feeling the pulsing of your forehead. Feeling the pulsing of the palms, of the soles of the feet. Maybe even seeing a light shining down on you. And just allowing your body to absorb the energy from this light. Knowing that you are worthy of healing. You are worthy of feeling all the great things. And just allowing yourself to feel them. And just resting in this peaceful silence for about another minute. This total body awareness. And if you'd like to stay longer, of course, please feel free to do so. If you're starting to be ready to come out of this final pose, you can just allow my cues to guide you. Just beginning by noticing the breath and how slow it's become. And then letting that awareness consciously deepen the breath and call air into the body. Feeling yourself filling up to the fingers and the toes and the head. Maybe letting those breaths energize the fingers to wiggle, the toes to wiggle, the head to rock side to side. And taking a big morning stretch if you'd like. And making your way to your fetal position when you're ready. And slowly pressing yourself up to your seat when you are ready. And just meeting with our hands at heart center when you arrive. And taking this moment to deeply thank yourself for showing up today. Thank your maker, thank your angels and guides. And as you bow your head, just bowing to yourself for taking the time for this pure act of self-love and self-care. May this act continue to heal you through the rest of your days and nights, and may you bring the same love into everything that you do and to everyone that you see. Namaste.